Aging in the sun are the greatest sources of damage to the skin. Vitamin C applied as a serum may help improve the pigmentation, roughness, and fine lines of damaged skin. This improves firmness, tone, radiance, and texture. Vitamin C, a strong antioxidant, helps form collagen, which fills in the skin and lends to smoothness, helping your skin look younger and more beautiful. Invite Health, a respected leader in nutrition, offers a very pure, high-quality vitamin C toning serum that is free of the fragrances and parabens that can mimic the effects of estrogens in your body. Take advantage of this great offer from Invite. Call now to purchase one bottle of vitamin C toning serum for $19.95 and receive a free protective hand cream along with free shipping. That's a $59.85 value for just $19.95. This is a limited time offer. Contact Invite at 800-804-0973. Support the healthier skin safely with Invite's vitamin C toning serum. Call 800-804-0973. That's 800-804-0973. You can also visit an Invite Health location or visit invitehealth.com.
Talk 1470 WWNN Pompano Beach, Boca Raton, Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
AM 1470 WNN with more of what you need to know. Tune in for the Jill Dane Show, Sundays at 3 p.m. on South Florida's Health and Wealth Network. AM 1470 WNN.
Hi, it's Jay Foster. Join us 7 days a week from 2 to 3 p.m. for Health Connection Radio. We'll talk about natural cholesterol control, toxic metal syndrome, how to reverse bone loss, and the latest scientific research on vitamins and minerals. We'll have fascinating guests, and we'll take lots of your calls, too. So join us 7 days a week from 2 to 3 p.m. for Health Connection Radio right here on WNN.
Talk health. Talk wealth. Talk politics. Talk 1470 WNN.
The South Palm Beach County chapter of the National Parkinson Foundation fosters general awareness to the estimated 60,000 Parkinson disease patients living here in South Florida. The chapter strives to provide support, advocacy, activities, and community to PD patients and their families. And now they have a radio show right here on AM 1470 WNN. You can help. Contact their offices at 561-962-1702. And remember to listen to the Parkinson's Hour right here every Thursday at 6 p.m. The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Welcome to our show. You're listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections, a place to learn about and celebrate creative arts therapy. Each week we'll explore new ways that music, art, and dance can reach, connect with, and help individuals of all stages of health and wellness. Hi, I'm Bree Bynan, a board-certified music therapist and the managing partner for the Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute. Tune in as I interview professionals from healthcare and educational backgrounds on the impact of the creative arts. If you prefer to watch our live video stream, simply visit www.pbmti.com. Hello, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You are listening to and watching Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. I am your host, Bree Bynan. I'm a board-certified music therapist and a neurologic music therapist working locally here in South Florida with the Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute. We hope that you found us at our new time slot today. This is our first time being during drive time, so we hope we're helping you on your commute home. And I have such an exciting show for you tonight. We're going to be talking a lot about not only the work of music therapy, but how music therapy can work in a variety of settings, working with other disciplines. So if you're new to this show, you haven't listened to our show, which usually airs at a different time before, welcome. We're so glad that you are listening or watching today. Just to give you a brief idea of what we talk about week to week as we celebrate the creative arts therapies. So myself being a music therapist, we often talk to music therapists or art therapists. We're going to be bringing on a dance and movement therapist next month, which I'm really excited about. And we talk about how these creative arts therapies can work with and enhance care in healthcare systems and also in the educational system. So we often try to bring on a lot of professionals outside of the creative arts therapies field to talk about what their experience has been like working with a music therapist or art therapist. We also really love to focus on this show in just any way beyond the normal scope, I would say, of healthcare, educational system, the creative ways to reach people, to reach them, to connect them with one another, to help heal them in ways that are maybe a little bit, I don't like to use the word alternative necessarily because we're not trying to replace anything else, but complementary. It works with others. So that's a big theme what we're talking about today, how music therapy can complement other disciplines. So we're going to be talking about opportunities for co-treating in the field, specifically opportunities for co-treating with licensed massage therapists. So our guest today is a wonderful friend, colleague, and former boss of mine, Chelsea Johnson, and she's a board-certified music therapist, also a licensed massage therapist, and a Reiki master. So she's going to be talking about all of those different backgrounds, what led her into those fields, and how taking all of those various fields, music, massage, energy work, can work together and can reach our patients, family members, and staff in those creative ways. So before we talk to Chelsea and I introduce you to her, I'm just going to briefly talk about the different types of co-treatment that we can do in the field. And hopefully if you're not a music therapist or creative arts therapist and you are a professional working in a medical field or an educational field or in a community setting, maybe you'll have a new idea of how you could partner with a music therapist to start a program, or at least just to start the conversation about it. And by the same token, if you're a music therapist listening and you're not co-treating, maybe this might spark an idea as well. So I'm going to read to you a little bit off of a blog that I wrote a few years ago on our website, pbmti.com, and I called it Co-Treating with Music Therapy 101. Kind of broke it down into by 8 different disciplines, how music therapy can help complement the work of those disciplines. So first, to talk about music therapy and speech therapy. Music therapy is a great option for speech rehabilitation. Active singing is a successful way to engage clients who are living with aphasia or other speech disorders. Neurologic music therapists utilize specific research-based techniques to stimulate speech, vocal production, and strengthen the respiratory system. Music is a motivator for clients and can activate the attention network, helping a client attend for an entire session. Co-treating with a speech and language pathologist can help the client reach their goals and have fun in the process. And again, just like all of these different disciplines we're going to be talking about, not only is it beneficial to the patient, but also to their family, especially to see them having fun in their therapeutic sessions, to be smiling, to be singing, enjoying things that maybe they haven't been enjoying in a while, and having the opportunity to share that moment together, but also fun for the staff as well. We hear that feedback a lot, that the staff really looks forward to music therapy coming, and it's a motivator for the clients, but also it just sets the mood, sets the environment, which we talk about a lot here. Music therapy and physical therapy. Music and rhythm have been found to help stroke, TBI, traumatic brain injury, and Parkinson's survivors relearn even gait patterns. So for those unfamiliar with that, so relearn evenly how to distribute weight on both sides as they're walking. Again, using music as a motivator, as well as manipulating the rhythm to match and entrain the client's gait, clients are able to reach their goals while receiving a positive stimulus, their favorite song. So very motivating. I don't think that will come as a surprise to many people. I'm sure many of us use music in our own physical regimens, working out. I know that myself personally, it's not my favorite thing to do, to go running or to go to the gym, but I motivate myself by saying I'm going to do this activity for the length of these songs, the length of this album. And it's kind of takes our brain off of the work that we're doing and makes it a pleasant experience. Music therapy and occupational therapy. Similar to speech and PT, OT sessions can be enhanced by the motivating nature of music. In my experience, I have had success working with occupational therapists while teaching a stroke survivor to play keyboard. Together, we focused on finger dexterity and crossing midline, while the client gained self-esteem from playing a new instrument successfully. All right, number 4 is what we're going to be focusing on today. I wrote myself a little paragraph here. I hope that I don't embarrass myself too much because the expert is here to talk about it. But music therapy and massage therapy, or Reiki. I have had years of experience working in this type of co-treating in hospice care and can attest to the beyond relaxing results. Imagine you're receiving a massage specifically tailored to your comfort needs and timed perfectly with the rhythm of your favorite song, which happens to be matching and entraining to your respiratory rate. A popular response to this co-treatment is induced sleeping, and that's just great, especially when 20 minutes ago you observed your client experiencing a high level of pain and anxiety. Especially in working one-on-one care in a medical setting, sometimes people will think that it's rude if the client will fall asleep while you're playing. So they're giving you a concert, don't fall asleep. Our goal is often that reduced level of pain, anxiety, agitation, and sleep is just about the best result we can get. And I've seen that happen a lot when co-treating in that setting. Music therapy and nursing or nursing assistance. Live preferred music can positively redirect clients during painful procedures such as blood work, repositioning, bathing, feeding, etc. Not to mention, the staff will usually report feeling more relaxed themselves by the music and might even sing along while interacting with the client. Winning all around. We definitely get a chance to observe this, and I love to see, even in a group setting, when clients are coming to the group and their caregivers will come with them, and for that hour, they're not having to anticipate a need necessarily or worry about, like I said, bathing, toileting, dressing, any kind of medical need. They get to just enjoy and bond with their client through the music and get to learn a little bit more about each other, which is really neat for us as a music therapist to observe that relationship growing. Music therapy and spiritual care. Live preferred spiritual music can enhance spiritual comfort for those with spiritual needs. Providing preferred spiritual music and lyric discussion during a chaplain visit can be very effective for clients, especially those who are no longer to attend religious services of their preference. So a lot of times individuals who are living in facilities are not in control of how and when and where they go to leave the facility, even if they're even able to leave the facility, do feel spiritually isolated from their preferred church, temple, or wherever their spiritual place is. Although there may be services provided in the facility, which is wonderful, that's often a very tight-knit family if someone is very connected to their faith. So sometimes bringing music from their specific faith or a special passage can really help connect them to that they are feeling isolated from. Music therapy and social work or psychosocial support. One example of this is co-treating with a social worker that has been, this is one personal example that's been successful, is combining live music for relaxation with guided imagery scripts or progressive relaxation. This is something that also some music therapists do. They go on to get a special certification in GIM, guided imagery and music, or the Bonney method. But if you don't have that certification, you can look for another professional to partner with. And so the music therapist can really focus on the music itself and how the patient is responding, and then leave it to another professional to focus on the script for relaxation. Another benefit to this co-treatment is having another therapist there available for processing and reflection, while keeping live music as that thread and keeping that present in the environment. Music therapy and music therapy. Although it's a luxury most of us do not have often, co-treating with another music therapist can be very beneficial, especially when leading a group. While music therapists are trained to be flexible and juggle many responsibilities, as if you listen to this show, especially last week, hearing all of Stephanie's jobs down at the Children's Hospital, we're used to that, to wearing many hats, but it's nice to have another therapist present to help focus on specific needs that clients may have, or if someone is in need of more assistance or more prompting. That was just kind of a quick crash course in the different ways, different opportunities for co-treating, for further immersing music therapy into the plan of care. Again, we don't want to be seen as someone who just comes in once a week or whatever the need may be, sing a few songs and leave. You know, we really want to know what everyone who's working with a client or a patient, what they're working on, and that includes the patient, their family members, their private caregivers, as well as the staff in a facility, if that's the situation. We want to be a part of that team and work together to meet those goals. We're going to be talking again specifically about working with massage therapy today with Chelsea Johnson. We'll introduce her to you after this break.
Mom's fall was a wake-up call. We knew she needed help, but we also knew she'd never leave her home.
With jobs and kids, we can't always be there. We weren't sure who to trust to help around the house and make sure she takes her medications.
We did our research and found our answer. Bright Star Care. Their home care teams are led by registered nurses, with help available 24/7.
Thanks to Bright Star Care, Mom can stay where she wants to be, at home.
For a standard of care that raises the bar, call 844 for Bright Star.
The Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute is a professional music therapy practice serving medical, community, and educational settings throughout Southeast Florida. With our experienced team of 11 board-certified music therapists, we use music and research-based therapeutic interventions to help individuals of all ages and abilities reach their goals and increase their quality of life. For more information on our services and programs, please visit our website at pbmti.com. Engage with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or call us at 561-747-9944. You are listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. If you'd like to join the conversation, the toll-free number is 888-565-1470. Now back to the show. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You're listening to and watching Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. I'm your host, Bree Bynan. We're glad you found us in our brand new time slot. We will be now 6 to 7 weekly. We're excited to be during your drive time, hopefully help you navigate some traffic on your way home and bring you some joy through music. So we're talking about co-treating today, different ways that music therapists can work with other disciplines to help clients and patients, their family members meet their goals. And I have the wonderful privilege to introduce you to a friend, colleague, former manager of mine, Chelsea Johnson. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you, Bree. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure, my pleasure. So Chelsea's not only a board-certified music therapist, she's also a licensed massage therapist and a Reiki master. So we're going to learn a little bit about each of those sections of her life. And if you wouldn't mind just starting kind of in your background, what brought you into just music in general?
Music in general, I like to tell people that I came into the world singing. Like, I've been singing, I think, longer than I've been talking. Mm-hmm. So it was always central to my family. There's always music in our home. And I always knew I wanted to help people. So I came to music therapy in the way a lot of us do, where I loved music. I wanted to do something with music, and I wanted to make a difference. Mm-hmm. So that's how I came to music therapy. And it was, for me, it was after I had already completed a bachelor's degree in another area, which was music composition. So when I went to grad school, it was an equivalency program. So I was doing kind of the undergraduate pieces and the graduate pieces in hand with each other, and just ignited by what music therapy could do. And then learning during those classes, there'd be these mentions of these other therapies, well, there's complementary therapies, and there's Reiki, and there's these kinds of body work. And I was just I kept waiting, like, okay, well, when do we learn how you put all these together? And of course, that's not what being a music therapist is about. So I really, even in my graduate work, that was what I focused in on, was bringing Reiki together with the Bani method of guided imagery and music to help women with breast cancer. Because to me, anytime you bring two or more therapies together that really recognize that it's not just about, this hurts, so let's rub this, or let's sing a song that's going to help with that. And it's really looking at the whole person, mind, body, spirit, and I think it's like it creates this circle of healing that happens, and it goes, from the music, whether it's two people working together or one clinician who's using multiple interventions while they're working. It's like it amplifies the effects of both. So
that's a great way to describe it. Going back a little bit, do you feel like your original path of going to school for music and music composition, do you feel like that helped shape your direction as a music therapist at all?
In some ways it did. I never really thought about it that way, but yeah, I can see it because, when you're creating music, you're kind of on your feet with it. Mm-hmm. You don't sit down and say, okay, I've thought of this piece of music start to finish, unless you're Mozart.
Right.
Or something. But, there's this creative process where you have to get out of your head and go a little bit deeper, and then music comes out. Mm-hmm. And in therapy, it can be, of course, it's a strength with doing any kind of songwriting, but I think just being in that creative space where it can go any direction.
Absolutely, which is such a good skill to have in your back pocket as a music therapist anyways.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So what we learned how you kind of came to music therapy, which if you do listen to the show every week should sound very familiar because that's pretty much the same story. Everyone goes, I really like music and I wanted to help people, and I feel very lucky that I did know about it just by doing a Google search of music and helping people, but when I was in high school, but a lot of people didn't know that path before going in to college. So that master's equivalency program was such a good option for that. Mm-hmm. So you were kind of introduced to all the different ideas, different ways of reaching people through massage or through energy work. What was the point for you where you really thought, I want to formalize this, I want to go out and learn these different modalities?
Well, for me, it was when I was doing my work in hospice, which I worked in hospice for many years as a music therapist. And at the same time, I had started my Reiki training. And people knew that was something additional that I had in my bag of tricks. Mm-hmm. And I would get calls sometimes from nurses who would say, I know this isn't really what you do, but I've got this woman or I've got this patient and they really need your help. And there was one that really stands out in my mind. She was 39 years old. She had breast cancer, and she was in such constant pain that she couldn't sleep. And there was nothing they could do for her that helped with her pain. And I think her husband was exhausted because she couldn't sleep, so he couldn't sleep.
Sure.
And somehow, through the miracles of hospice care, we arranged for me to get to go and do some hands-on Reiki with her. And this is before I was a massage therapist. So I went to the home. I think I had, the one visit was not even an hour long. She was in her bed. I did a full Reiki treatment, which I can describe Reiki in a little bit.
Sure.
But it's a kind of energy work, Mm-hmm. And she fell asleep during the session, and her husband called me later that day and said, she hasn't slept like this in weeks. Mm-hmm. She's still resting, and she's so comfortable. And I knew then, I was like, there's, especially in that hospice kind of care, that to bring that gentle hands-on healing to patients could be so effective. Mm-hmm. And then being a music therapist at the same time, I knew that for me, I couldn't separate out the two. It was like being a music therapist as being a Reiki practitioner. Mm-hmm. But in the state of Florida, it turns out that if you're going to put your hands on people, you have to have a license to touch. So that's how I got to massage therapy.
Okay.
I didn't have like this, oh my God, I want to bring massage into the picture. But I went to massage school so that I could bring Reiki to the patients.
And one just led to another. Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. So before we kind of get into how that all works together and what your vision was for that, it is a good opportunity to stop. And if someone doesn't know what Reiki or energy work is, how would you describe that?
To describe Reiki, I would go to using basically the translation of the Japanese word. So everyone's familiar with acupuncture, and it's pretty broadly accepted that, acupuncture is something that works, and there's, it's based on the idea that there's meridians that run through the body and that this energy flows. And, there's the idea that there's a living, tangible energy that infuses every living thing. And Reiki is based on the same principles. So the ki in Reiki is the Japanese word for chi in Chinese, which is for that life force energy. And Rei translates loosely as divinely guided, spirit guided, coming from a pure and high place, as I tend to think of it. So when you put it together, it's bringing that life force energy through a pure channel for healing. So it's not like there's magic in my hands and I know some kind of trick that I can do to heal someone. It's more that I've cleared myself so that this energy can help others.
Is that, would you say, I know I'm going off a little bit of kind of the path of what we're talking about, but would you say that is a majority of your training to become a Reiki master is more personal, of just kind of how to, like you said, how to free that energy, how to get out of our own head a little bit. So it's not so much learning a skill necessarily, it's internal.
Yeah, I think it depends on who you learn from too.
Okay.
Because with Reiki, there's not like a governing body, there's not a national association. It's more like this, almost like an ancient tradition where it's handed down from master to student. So you can think of like the telephone game where it gets filtered depending on who's teaching it. They add their little pieces into it. But the way that I was taught, level 1, there's usually 3 levels of training, sometimes 4. And level 1 is entirely about self-care. So you're learning that before I can heal you, I have to heal myself. So that's really the foundation of the work. And then it's, basically that the more I work on myself and make myself a pure channel, the more I'm able to help others.
That would just be valuable for anyone to
I
take.
was going to say, there's another example of how, I remember learning that in grad school as a music therapist, that you can only take a client as far as you're willing to go yourself.
And, we did a episode a month or so ago about caregiving and, how music therapy can also be for the caregiver as well, but also just releasing those feelings of guilt and of, and how to address stress and coping. And I quoted you, and I just realized, I thought, I remember learning these things about filling up ourselves before filling up the cups of others. That was you as you're speaking, and that so fits in.
Yeah.
With what you're talking about with Reiki. That's really interesting. What settings have you worked in and observed this type of work benefiting?
Well, like I said before, hospice for sure. And before I came into hospice, when I was a young music therapy intern, I was in an Alzheimer's care facility. And we had some groups that we did where they actually had a healing arts department. So there was a dance therapist, an art therapist, music therapists. There was actually a position on board called Reiki Liaison.
Ooh.
Yeah, and her whole job was giving Reiki to the residents and teaching staff how to give Reiki to the residents. Great job. And there was a complimentary therapist.
Oh my goodness, where was this?
This was in Chardon, Ohio. It was outside of Cleveland. It was fantastic.
Wow.
And so I think that also shaped my reference of, because we were a department together and we were always co-treating. So, we worked with the dance therapy interns and when there was an art therapy intern. We used aromatherapy a lot in the music therapy groups that we did for residents. And there was a special group that we did it was a sensory stimulation group, but it was different than what you usually see as sensory stimulation. It was, they were actually collecting research on this model, and they used harp music, and they were pretty, not regimented, but they had a very specific way that they played the harp, very repetitive, familiar songs, very simple patterns. They used aromatherapy, and they would use Reiki and also what they called at this facility caring touch. So, and it was all just about bringing those residents, those people to that moment. with the music, with the touch, with the aromatherapy. And
What a beautiful model, and what a neat place for you to learn. And I can see how that kind of shaped, the work that and the path that you took professionally. Have you seen anything in Florida that is similar to that?
I haven't.
It's really neat. And
I'd love to.
Yeah, absolutely. I would too. If you have a facility like that or know of one, please let us know. And that was how many years ago that you're, sorry. Okay, well, I guess the point I'm trying to make is that how progressive.
Yeah, it was. It was 15 years ago.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing so much. We're going to talk even beyond the work you've done so far and where you see this benefiting other sets after this commercial break. We'll talk to you then. Thank you.
Mom's fall was a wake-up call. We knew she needed help, but we also knew she'd never leave her home.
With jobs and kids, we can't always be there. We weren't sure who to trust to help around the house and make sure she takes her medications.
We did our research and found our answer, Bright Star Care. Their home care teams are led by registered nurses, with help available 24/7.
Thanks to Bright Star Care, Mom can stay where she wants to be, at home.
For a standard of care that raises the bar, call 844 for Bright Star.
The Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute is a professional music therapy practice serving medical, community, and educational settings throughout Southeast Florida. With our experienced team of 11 board-certified music therapists, we use music and research-based therapeutic interventions to help individuals of all ages and abilities reach their goals and increase their quality of life. For more information on our services and programs, please visit our website at pbmti.com. Engage with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or call us at 561-747-9944. You are listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. If you'd like to join the conversation, the toll-free number is 888-565-1470. Now back to the show. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You're listening to the Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections at our brand new time, 6 to 7. We're glad you found us. I'm here today talking to Chelsea Johnson, board-certified music therapist, licensed massage therapist, and Reiki master. The first half hour of the show, we've been talking about the benefits of co-treating, and she's been specifically talking about how her background as a music therapist and seeing how music can reach individuals, specifically in a hospice setting, but doesn't have to be in a hospice setting, has lent itself to opening up all these different doors and different ideas of how to reach individuals, talking specifically about Reiki, which you defined for us, and massage therapy. So once you've had kind of the spark to learn these different modalities and seen the benefits from it, and obviously had an amazing opportunity and training, tell us about how you came to this vision for an integrative therapies department.
Well, let's see. The patient that I talked about previously, the 39-year-old cancer patient, she was one of a couple that stand out in my mind, where these requests kept coming for these kind of therapies, and there was no program to offer them. So there was another woman who was she was in our inpatient unit, and the story that was brought to me was that she was visiting from California. She had grown children that were here. She was fairly young, though. She was maybe in her late 40s or early 50s, and she was dying of pancreatic cancer, and she herself was a Reiki master, and that was what she was asking for. She wanted Reiki, and the nurses downstairs were like, well, we don't do Reiki. So someone who knew that I was upstairs in the bereavement department at the time came and found me and said, can you come down? Can we do this? And so I got to have this beautiful moment with the family, and I believe, as I remember it, there was the music therapist there as well. So that was probably the first official co-treat that happened. And it was just this beautiful moment where you could see her breathing change, her whole countenance, like her face just relaxed and became very peaceful. And her whole body, you could just feel her letting go. And her family surrounded her, and everybody had their hands on her in some way. And she died later that day. And I remember going upstairs and saying, I feel this momentum. And I don't know if it's just the energy of the experience I just had with this woman, but we have to do something. So my director at the time said, okay, well, put together a proposal and we'll see what happens with it. But don't put any time into it. Just throw a little something together and bring it to me. So, of course, I went home and spent the entire weekend writing. Like, if I'm going to write a proposal, it's going to be right. And so I brought it to her the next week, and maybe it was just the timing of things, but it happened that I was given the opportunity to start the program. And as the years progressed, I had therapists come on to, expand it out so that, it wasn't just me running from one inpatient unit to the next, but we had a full staff of therapists treating the patients. And it was
That's wonderful.
amazing. Yeah.
And how neat for you, and beyond neat, what an amazing experience for you to see that grow
Yeah.
out of an idea that you had, out of a dream that you had. That's really amazing. So just like music therapy, we talk about how sometimes we can become a little overwhelmed when everyone says, you got to go see this person, they love music, and everybody loves music. We would never rest, if we saw everyone who loved music. How do you identify in your work someone that you think would specifically benefit from music and an integrative therapist working together?
I believe it's going to depend on the setting. If reflecting on my hospice experience, it was usually patients who were having more like needing attention to helping them relax or deal with pain. I can remember one of my early co-treats when we were just trying to figure out how the kind of the lay of the land with it, where I co-treated with a music therapist with a patient who was alert and oriented and wanted to talk. And she wanted to process through the songs. And it ended up like the music therapist doing a session with her, doing all those great things with the music and stimulating reminiscence and validating her feelings. And I'm sitting at the foot of the bed just trying to rub her feet and not be in the way.
Right.
So that to me wasn't the right situation to bring two together. But definitely if the goal is to help someone go inside, whether it's relaxing through the pain or calming down anxiety, I think those in that setting are, some of the great ways to bring it together. If we think past Reiki and massage into aromatherapy, which, a lot of people know of aromatherapy from the shampoo aisle or the soaps, and it's really more of a therapy than that. It's the use of pure essential oils that come from the plant, tree, or flower, whatever it's associated with, and they have healing properties. And there are some oils that help stimulate reminiscence or create relaxation and help people feel more comfortable to talk. So when, I talked about my internship experience, there was a specific aromatherapy blend. I'd love to know what it was at this point. But the aromatherapist, yes, there was an aromatherapist on staff too. She had put together this blend for groups to help them kind of open up and feel comfortable sharing and stimulate memory.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And so it sounds like you're saying that while it's not a hard and fast rule, oftentimes a physical need would be probably a better fit for bringing integrative therapies, music therapy together. But, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, but I think about, too, a lot of times, and maybe it's just an integrative therapist working one-on-one individually with a person, with a patient, is that touch becomes sort of a unfamiliar or a cold thing sometimes when you're in facility, you're not in your home, and it's really not to necessarily someone's fault. They're not trying to be cold or be abrupt, but touch is associated with you're you are going to do this now. You're going
Right.
to go to the bathroom now. You're going to go to the shower now. You're going to get changed. We're going to get fed, and it's that lack of control.
Yeah.
So I think, and maybe you can elaborate this a little bit, that integrative therapists would have an amazing opportunity to connect with someone in that way of bringing them touch in such a calming, loving way that's really focused on them in that moment and not telling them where they need to be.
Yeah, that's such a great point, because I think when you're describing that, I'm thinking that touch in facilities is very task oriented.
Yes, yeah.
And there's such, I think as a society, we are all touch deprived, and the older you get, the less cuddles you get, and less, nurturing touch. So I think that's what it can bring to that setting is more nurturing.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
we never give up needing that.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, a lot of your background has been in hospice care. You've talked about specific stories within hospice care. What other settings would you say for anyone who's listening or watching tonight who either has a loved one that they're caring for, they're thinking about themselves specifically, or somewhere they work? What settings would this benefit, a program like this?
Yeah, I think basically any setting where you have people who are hurting emotionally or physically, I think it can help. And if I think back to my graduate work, the focus of that was working with women who were struggling with breast cancer and struggling for survival, not kind of at the, more of a hospice place with it. And the focus with that was really trying to help them release the emotions. And as you get deeper into Reiki practice, you learn some techniques that can help dislodge emotional gunk, if you think of it that way. Because we know that the mind and the body it's not two separate things. It's not that they're connected. It's that the mind and the body is one. And when you have an ache or a place in your body that is chronic, sometimes there's an emotional component to that. And using Reiki, using music therapy, and absolutely using them together can help move the energy through that emotional stuck place to help physical and emotional, spiritual, all of it.
All comes together.
Yeah.
And, I think it kind of sneaks up on people in the way that music therapy does as well. I remember working in your department, and massage therapists would say, well, this client was, we obviously live in an area where a lot of our area is affluent, and we go see clients that have big, beautiful houses on the water, which is lovely, and we love that you share that with us. When they get a call and they might not know what integrative therapies are, I say, well, I'm a licensed massage therapist. They have an idea in mind of what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
And okay, yes, I understand what a massage is, and I think this probably sneaks up on them, like you're saying, of not realizing how much that touch, and maybe you can tell us a little bit how that touch is different than just receiving a massage.
Yeah, when you think of like a typical spa massage, and I love my spa massage. Like,
not knocking that.
I want to go get one like tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's it's more like this. How do you want to say it? Almost like a pampering sort of thing, or that's the way society has come to think of it. As like, it's a luxury. It's something you get done, and don't I feel good afterwards? And a lot of people don't really think about it as a deeper experience. And when I was in the field doing this kind of work, and with hospice, and having to explain it the way you're talking about, I would shy away from introducing myself as a massage therapist, mostly because it's not what I, defined myself as professionally. But I would say I work with touch. I work with music. I work with aromas, and kind of explaining more, here's the pieces of what I do and how they can help you. And I think I'm trying to get back to your question about how that kind of touch is different. With a spa massage too, a lot of times there's sort of a routine that the massage therapist goes through, and it may vary from one client to the next, but it's basically, you start on the table with your face down. I'm going to do your back, then I'm going to do your legs, then we're going to flip over, and it goes that way. With this, it's more improvisational. So there we are back with the music again.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's more, where are you right now? And what, when I quiet myself too, if I put my hands on you, where does that healing need to go? Because that's another one of the ideas with Reiki, is that the energy has its own wisdom, and it knows where it needs to go. So even if I'm, standing behind you and put my hands on your shoulders, I have a faith and a knowledge, not just faith, but a knowledge that energy is going to go where it needs to go. So when people are receiving it, they'll a lot of times say, wow, your hands are hot. Boy, I really feel that. And it could, as far as, incorporating massage into it, there's rarely a routine to it. It's really kind of following where the client or the patient or the individual is, and
even
going with them.
Just hearing you describe it, I'm just more relaxed. So I can only imagine how the patients feel when they receive this. We're going to talk a little bit more after the commercial break with Chelsea about how you can reach out to her. If you're interested in what she's talking about, you identify a need either with a loved one or somewhere you work or yourself. We're going to connect with her and also talk about some specific clinical examples and how she uses her background in music and music therapy as part of an integrative therapy session after this commercial break. Thank you.
Mom's fall was a wake-up call. We knew she needed help, but we also knew she'd never leave her home.
With jobs and kids, we can't always be there. We weren't sure who to trust to help around the house and make sure she takes her medications.
We did our research and found our answer. Bright Star Care. Their home care teams are led by registered nurses, with help available 24/7.
Thanks to Bright Star Care, Mom can stay where she wants to be, at home.
For a standard of care that raises the bar, call 844 for Bright Star.
The Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute is a professional music therapy practice serving medical, community, and educational settings throughout Southeast Florida. With our experienced team of 11 board-certified music therapists, we use music and research-based therapeutic interventions to help individuals of all ages and abilities reach their goals and increase their quality of life. For more information on our services and programs, please visit our website at pbmti.com. Engage with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or call us at 561-747-9944. You are listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. If you'd like to join the conversation, the toll-free number is 888-565-1470. Now back to the show. Hello, thank you so much for joining us. You're listening to and watching Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. I'm your host, Bree Bynan. Again, we're glad you found us at our new time slot, 6 to 7. We are going to be on from 6 to 7 every Wednesday. So if you're a newcomer and you've enjoyed what you've heard today, we'll hope that you will come back next week and listen to us again. We've been talking about music therapy, but specifically how music therapy can a music therapist co-treat with other disciplines to use the music to help either motivate or to help reach someone in a new way, in a different way. We're talking to Chelsea Johnson, who's a board-certified music therapist, also a licensed massage therapist, a Reiki master, and she created an integrative therapies department for her work where she was and has been able to see some incredible ways that music and touch and energy work was able to kind of sneak in the back door, as I like to say, and reach people in new ways. We think about massage in a very specific way, those of us who've gone to receive a massage personally, And the way she describes energy work and touch and how it reaches people, it's like you said, it's a little more introspective, which I love how you put that. Beyond the way that it impacts the patients, the clients, what are some other benefits to maybe family members or staff that works with the clients?
I think if we think about the families first, one of the ways that it helps them is that it can help give families a context for interacting with their loved one. It's the same thing with if you're just using music therapy. I think that's one of the beauties of music is that it's that common language, and you can soften up an emotional chill in the room with music. And when you bring touch into it, it's like this other layer of connectedness that you can bring to the room. So I can think of many times that I worked with families who were in the room with their loved one and just didn't know how to connect with them. And I would even, kind of on the sly, just say, could you come over here and give me a hand? And I'd pull my lotion out and I'd say, I'm going to use some aromatherapy and I'm going to use some lotion and I'm just going to, massage your loved one's feet really gently. But maybe while I'm working on this one, you could put some lotion on their hands. And, before you know it, they're connecting. And to me, as a therapist, that moment of shine is when you've created a moment where you can step back and the moment has a life of its own. And I've seen time and again with the integrative therapies and especially partnered with music where those moments happen. And you give them a way to connect in that moment and also some ideas for how they can continue to connect after you're not there anymore.
I love how you phrase things, and it's kind of bringing back memories for me listening to how you say it, because I went back to either being an intern or a very young professional in the inpatient unit you spoke of, and I remember going in with one of the integrative therapists, and it was exactly what you described. The patient was in bed, very close to the end of their life, and family was all along this wall, tablets up, cell phones up, book up, just not sure how to interact with that person. Walked in with the integrative therapist, and he'd kind of organized everyone in a gentle way, like you said, around that I need some help with, and we're going to try something together. I know it's going to be a little different. It might be a little out of your comfort zone, but let's just see. I want to bring our energy to them. And as part of that, we went around the circle that they had formed around their loved one, and everyone gave me a positive quality about that person, and I was able to put that into the music. So while they had their hands out, and this was years ago, so I'm probably not telling the story completely right, but while they had their hands touching, giving their energy, we're sharing positive memories, the music was there to complement it. It was just an incredible moment. And what a gift for that family to give their loved one when 10 minutes before they wanted to do that, the intention was there and they just didn't know how. And that's opportunities that you created really with your vision, which is just really wonderful and something to feel very proud of. If you have questions, maybe this, to me, this is a new type of program. I don't know about really any other things that are going on. Obviously, you had started years ago, but the program you talked about in Ohio just sounds incredible. We don't have a lot of that down here, unfortunately. If this is something that you're interested in and you want to learn more, engage with us on Twitter, on Facebook. PBMTI is our Twitter handle. Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute is our Facebook. We are loving to connect with our listeners, with those who are watching, who have any questions, maybe have any feedback. You can also reach out to Chelsea. If your email, it's on the screen, but if you're listening on the radio, if you could give it to listeners.
Oh, sure. It's music4, and that's the number 4, healing, @yahoo.com.
Wonderful. So music4, the number 4, healing, @yahoo.com. If you have any questions for Chelsea, want to talk to her about this, or maybe you are doing a program similar and want to share what's working for you all, we would love to hear that. We have just a few minutes left, so if you would, we love to end the show with music, and to give, that's kind of our gift that we like to give our listeners and watchers, and hope that you can take some of the music we share. Especially, we're going to be talking about something that you wrote, correct?
I didn't write it.
Oh, you didn't write it.
I
Okay.
didn't write it. I wish I had, because it's a beautiful chant.
Yes, absolutely. Please tell us about it.
Okay, well, it's I long ago I found it in a book. It was a book of chants, and it struck me because, like you were describing with the experience that you just described, almost every time I saw music and integrative therapies come together with a patient in the bed and the family in the room, a circle inherently formed around the bed. Whether the hands are on the patient usually, the music, it's like just this flow and this circle. And the chant is called I Am a Circle. So I'm going to start it.
Okay.
And then I want you to join me.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
We
you're
didn't
on the spot.
practice
Yeah,
this.
I know,
Okay.
I know. But you'll see how easy it is.
Okay.
Because I've used it with families. I've used it when I teach Reiki.
Okay.
I use this chant a lot just as a way to help everybody feel connected with each other. It's called I Am a Circle.
All right.
Take a little sip of water. I am a circle. I am healing you. You are a circle. You are healing me. Unite us, be one. Unite us, be as one. Want to try it?
Sure.
I am a circle. I am healing you. You are a circle. You are healing me. Unite us, be one. Unite us, be as one.
I love it. And you talked about sharing that at some special ceremonies as well.
Yes. One of the special ceremonies that we did at hospice was, and this was, and I had many lives there, and this was as a part of one of our bereavement programs, and it was an angel ceremony for families who had lost a child or an infant, and it was a ceremony that takes place on December 6th every year, and this is a song that we would sing as a part of that ceremony.
You've given such beautiful examples of times when there's been a real emotional need, a real physical need, but also joys too, and way to turn those situations into a time of sharing and giving gifts to one another. That's so incredible. We have about 2 more minutes if you want to share one more either story or a song that was really impactful during your time or experience either integrative therapies, aroma, or music therapy.
I have a great example to share. It's one of my favorite stories, and it's loosely connects with music therapy because it connected with music. But it was in our inpatient unit, and I was working with this woman who was young. She was probably in her early 50s, and I forget even what her diagnosis was. But she was fairly alert and oriented. But just if you even got close to talking about anything related to death and dying, she'd change the subject to something else. So I'm putting together an aromatherapy blend for her. And I was putting frankincense in it because frankincense can help. It has an expansive quality and it can help with breathing. And it also can expand consciousness. And there was music piped into the room that was this Native American flute. And the combination of that aroma and that music took her into this imagery experience where she met with a spirit guide who was walking her by a river and wanting to lead her.
Wow.
And that to me was like the power of these therapies when they come together is limitless.
Oh, what a beautiful story to end on. Thank you so much, Chelsea,
You're
for being
welcome.
here. It was such a pleasure. We look forward to speaking with you all next week, again at our new time, 6 to 7 on Wednesdays. Thank you for listening tonight. Have a wonderful week. to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. We hope you enjoyed today's program and discovered new ways to bring music, art, and dance into your home or workplace. Please find a copy of today's show at pbmti.com. If you have any questions for our guest or myself, please email me at Bree, that's B-R-E-E, at pbmti.com, or call the Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute at 561-747-9944. Tune back in next week for an all-new live show. See you then.
The opinion